robbery. Hands in the sky if you got a dream. Learn nothing was blocking me. I was the problem, the only one stopping me. I didn't like it, I had to refocus. Now I'm devoted, I know where I'm going. Controlling emotions, I'm owning the moment. In order to get it, see, you gotta want it. Don't make a living break. Confessions over these 808s. Don't sleep on the key, better stay away. I mean, for heaven's sake, I'ma be the best. Came from the endless, lane roll games, bitch you with the chest. Beating on my chest, trying to get my rest. Watch me while I flex. Every win is a blessing, and every L is a lesson. So when I run into rejection, I know it's only redirection. I see the blessings right beside me. The chances of quitting are likely. I do it like I'm in my Nikes. Don't make excuses, they never excite me. Quitting was never an option.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the online Speedway Racing League Premier Series presented by Split Second Broadcasting. I'm Hunter Brittle alongside my good friends Elliot Henderson and Ross Brockman, and tonight we kick off the 8th season of the OSRL Premier Series with the Tomas Sport Tuning Speedway 200 at Daytona. Elliot, last week we set the grid for tonight with the dual races. What can these drivers take from those short dual races and use in tonight's big, long main event?
I think a lot. We had a lot of different scenarios between both duels. Obviously, each duel provided a little bit of something that these guys can take back with them. But duel duel one was actually really eventful. A lot of yellows, a lot of short, restarts and everything that those guys can learn from. Duel two was a little bit more of your casual, actual racing and riding around a bit until the end there. So. I think the big thing here is just going to be getting through these restarts, and from a lot of what we saw with the duels, it's going to be trying to manage actually gaining track position, because it's really hard from that middle towards the rear end of the pack to really make up spots after the run gets going. We saw guys like Ryan Vargas make the move and go from about 20th on up and find their way up there, but it's really hard to do that without friends, and a lot of guys don't really like going 3 wide here, so we're gonna have to see how aggressive these guys get. But definitely a lot to take from those 2 duels, and now we've got 80 laps to settle it tonight.
You definitely make a good point there. A lot of those guys starting in the back going to have to make some moves to get up towards the front, and it is rather hard to do here. We are running the old Daytona configuration pre-repave, with a very bumpy track surface, and in this Gen 4 car that we're running, it's with the high speeds and the pointy noses, it makes it for some difficult racing to get through this field and try and march your way towards the front. But with a little bit of aggression, like you said, Ryan Vargas, he's no stranger to working his way through the field. He put on a show there in the duels, so we expect to see him going forward, and some others definitely as well. Also up here in the booth, we've got Ross Brockman here tonight. He'll be monitoring driver chat, serving as our pit reporter. Ross, what are you expecting to see from tonight?
Well, you talk about moving through the field. I think that we saw in the duels, some of these drivers could move up if they were aggressive, but with 80 laps, I think there's going to be some that maybe want to ride it out a little bit. The fuel strategy, it's going to look like we're going to have a 2-stop race here, anywhere from 27 to 30 laps, somewhere in that run. Maybe you could go another lap or 2, depending on where you're at in the pack. But I think it's going to be really fun to see what strategies some of these drivers have. I think track position is key. We saw that in the duels. I think that anything to get track position and keep it is going to be on the docket for tonight. Looking forward to it.
Hit it right on the nose there. Ross, I have a question for you. You commentated duel number 2 while Elliot and I took duel number 1. What do you expect in tonight's race, what do you expect it to resemble? More of duel number 1, where we had quite a few cautions, or duel number 2, where it went green, but we had some really hard racing there at the end?
I think you almost could probably flip it. That's my guess, is that you're going to probably have the less chaotic duel 2 maybe as the first 40 laps tonight, and then maybe the second 40 laps once you get to a point where maybe the pit stops are done. You may have the chaos where everyone's going to try to get up there and maybe get too aggressive and now get multiple cautions. So I think that's probably the way some of these go. But hopefully we get some long runs and a little bit of a mixed bag. That's always fun here at the old Daytona.
Definitely, like the old Daytona. We you know it, you love it. This big old bumpy surface, it'll definitely create some action out of nothing in an instant. Going down into turn number one and number two, those big bumps there create their own drama. Elliot, you talked earlier, or well, rather Ross brought it up, but Elliot, I want to talk to you about the fuel strategy here tonight. About 28 to 30 laps on fuel here. What are we looking? Ross said it was a 2-stop. Is there any alternate strategies that we could be looking for, or is it really just pit with the group and try and stay together?
Yeah, there's not really anything you can do with that. If you you try to short pit, you're not really going to gain anything. So the two stopper puts them right at the edge, about 10 laps over at max if they run it as long as they can. But there's no sense in trying to switch it up. I think depending on how tires fall and trying to get away from people and kind of form your own little groups, which we usually see works better here than the big packs with the bumpy Daytona configuration. You probably do want to pit on that. I think about 26 or 27 is going to put you right at it to be able to make it. So on that one more stop. So, but you'll probably see guys run it out because why not? It's Daytona. You want to stay with the group and try to run as long as you can. But that's all going to come down to who runs up at the front the most and, obviously goes through more fuel than everybody else and who runs at the back and can save a little bit and run a little bit longer. But everyone's going to have varying strategies, and we'll just have to see how it all works out. But it'll be a pretty standard, probably 30, 60, and then 20 laps to the end to finish this one off.
Definitely shaping up to be an action-packed race all night long. We're just about set here on the grid. The pace car will soon lead out this field out onto the racetrack. We'll get 2 formation laps here, and then we will get set to go green. But for right now, let's take you through this starting lineup here, starting with our two pole sitters here. Cole Freilich won duel number 1, put on an absolute clinic in that duel. Started up front, stayed up front the entire time here. He's going to be looking strong tonight for sure. And to his outside is Adam Sweet, who didn't win his duel, but due to some roster shuffling, has found his way to the outside pole there. And he is a sim racing veteran, been around since NR 2003, so he definitely knows his way around a virtual racetrack. Look for those two guys to stay strong all night.
And Caden Reif right there in third, obviously won his duel, started 6th in that one. And to his outside is Ashton Lawson, won in his first ever start here in OSRL. In his duel, he'll roll off 4th tonight.
Behind them, it's going to be the number 5, starting in the 5th position, it's the 97 of Jack Painter. And to his outside will be Kendall Carpenter, both cars showing excellent speed in those duels to wind up in that 3rd starting row.
Henry Kaloof will roll off 7th with Steven Gibson to his outside in 8th.
Behind them, John Daniels there in the 02 car, and to his outside, Gavin Newton in the 48.
Tyler Seville will roll off 11th with Tristan Baker in 12th.
Nathan Kiani rolls off next, the resident Canadian in the field tonight, with Jeff Yenich to his outside.
Brad Lindauer will round out your top 15 with Ryan Vargas, one of the guys that was antsy and wanting to make moves early on in his duel. Going to roll off 16th. We get to watch him work his way through the field.
Hunter Waters rolls off from the 17th position with Ethan Stuckwish to his outside.
Nick Roten will be 19th, and Marty Farrell rounds out your top 20 tonight.
Starting 21st, Tyler Lane, and we talked about him a lot in the in duel number 1. Elliott started from the back, made some moves up there, and raced his way into this event here. As you see all the cars coming down pit road to get a look at their pit stalls here. We'll continue taking you through the field, and then Ian T. Smith to Tyler's outside there in that 28 car.
Yeah, both of those guys very, very aggressive in their races, trying to gain position. So we'll have to see how they fare starting towards the back tonight. Mo Perry will line up 23rd, and Harry Grindell 24th tonight.
Chris Pervolarikis rolls off from the 25th position. To his outside is Isaac Johnson, who is a real life in real life he runs his own sprint car, so he's got some real life racing experience. Look for him to put on a show here tonight.
Nolan Sanford will roll off 27th with Ruby Estes in 28th.
And the final 3 entries tonight. Sean Begley is our sponsor rather, I take that back. He is not. Sean Begley rolls off from the 29th position. Griffin Jones is the sponsor provisional tonight, just rolling off from the 30th position in that 53 car rather. And then Alex Balderas in the 95. Last minute entry due to some roster shuffling. Once again, he makes his way into this event for his first time. Welcome, Alex, to the field here tonight. The cars have made their way onto the back straightaway as they head into turn 3 for the final time. This will be the one to go. We will get the green flag when they come around this time. Elliot, any final thoughts here before these guys take the green flag and get out to it for 80 laps here tonight in Daytona?
Well, we know we've got a few rookies in here like Ashton Lawson and Kendall Carpenter that are going to be pretty fast or fast in their duels, but I'm really looking back towards the pack with Ryan Vargas. When we mentioned Tyler Landon and Ian T. Smith back there, all three of those guys, look for them to be aggressive, potentially go 3 wide at the beginning or try to make up moves to get up towards the front and be talking about them in the first 10 or 15 laps here.
Definitely a lot of names all spread out through this field here as the pace car dives onto pit road this time. It's the first race of the season. We're ready here for it, and so is the field. Green flag is out. We're racing in Daytona. One lap down here in the OSRL Premier Series. The first lap of the season is complete, and already we've got a lot of action. You saw 3 wide all the way down the back, and they've sorted it out for the time being, Elliot, but it's still 2 by 2 as they head back into 1. And the 20 car is up in the outside wall there. That's Kendall Carpenter got a little bump from the outside, and we've got a wreck in the back here. The 24 is around. The 60 of Nick Roten is in it. Big wreck here in the back of the field. Caution is out on lap number 2, Elliot.
Well, I was just going to talk about, I mentioned Ryan Vargas and Tyler Landon and all these guys trying to make their way up towards the front. That's exactly what they did at the beginning, all going to the outside lane and kind of splitting people. But obviously big junk at the beginning and guys just trying to be aggressive when they don't really need to be. We're going to pull up a replay here, but Adam Sweet actually led the first lap from the second starting position. Cole Freilich coming across to lead lap number 2. So the front row has already respectively led laps, and we're going to go ahead and get you this replay of everything that happened between Nick Roten and the others towards the back.
I caught this wreck out of the corner of my eye. I was so focused on the front there because I saw the 20 of Kendall Carpenter get all squirrely, and then in the back it just seemed like the exact same thing happened there as another car that was who was that there in the 24 of Marty Farrell. He goes up into the outside wall. Same exact thing that happened to Carpenter, and unfortunately, he wasn't in a good spot to avoid any other cars and took out 3 or 4 other good cars that were in it. So an unfortunate start for those guys tonight. They're going to have a long road ahead of them here. But like the one benefit, Elliot, of wrecking early in this one in these races is there's a lot of laps in this, 80 whole laps, and there's still 77 of them to go. You got a lot of time to make it back up in these high-powered cars.
Yeah, it looks like these guys all kind of got up a little bit high there and just caught the wall. And, once you get up there and kind of catch that wall, you just kind of get sucked into it. I'm not sure if that's what happened to Kendall as well. I was watching that kind of intently as Adam Sweet will hit pit road, potentially a little bit of fuel strategy here for him. But Kendall, I couldn't tell if he got run over or if they just had an issue trying to get into turn 1 there. But got that car really squirrely, but ended up saving it. And unfortunately, those guys at the back were not as lucky. But you want to talk about guys moving up. Ryan Vargas, Tyler Landon, both 16th to 11th, 21st to 12th. We talked about it. Those guys are going to be aggressive and get moving. Ian Smith started 22nd. He's up to 18th. Those guys towards the back are definitely going to try to move forward, and they're already doing it. Big gains out of Tyler Lane and already.
Absolutely, Elliot. Big gains tonight. Already early on. Shoot, we've only run 2 laps. I want to bring in Ross Brockman once again. He's been monitoring the driver chat. Ross, how lit up was the radio after that one?
Yeah, there's a few people mad at each other, but that's normal, right? I think so far it looks like on pit road we have a handful of people that are trying to fix damage. I know that Isaac Johnson had mentioned that he's down on power. We have Pervolaricus, Marty Farrell on pit road, Nick Roden. So those guys are fixing damage. We also talked about Alexander Balderas, who was a late jump into this race. He did start from pit road, so the early caution did help him. He's back caught up to the pack. So otherwise, a few of those others, we saw Adam Sweet, Tyler Seville, Tristan Baker. They came down just did some fuel only. I think that maybe just trying to maybe go to the back. I'm not sure, but we'll see what works for them. But early pit stops here, lap 3.
It definitely seems like at these super speedway races, Daytona, Talladega, the 2 safest spots in the field is number 1 out front and leading, and number 2 the very, very tail end of the field where you can see everybody and all the action up there in front of you, and hopefully hit the brakes and avoid everything. But yeah, you talked about Alex Balderas. How do you? I mean, that's about as well of a as lucky of a start from pit road as you can get there. Starting from pit road and then catching an early caution, he'll be caught right back up to this field, and in fact, in front of a couple guys who had to stick, who got caught up in that wreck and had to take damage. So already Balderas moving up from pit road here as we get double file here and the cars go off into one.
Cole Freilich, your defending winner of this race, going to start on the outside here with Caden Reif to his inside. Ashton Lawson will line up 3rd. Jack Painter up there in 4th. And Henry Kaloof will round out your top 5 this week. Make our way off turn 2, get to the backstretch, and we'll be taking the green flag this time by.
Let's talk about Cole Freilich for a second, because Elliot, you and I commentated his duel, and from our limited time watching this league, he has been one to absolutely assert himself in the front of this field, and he has not left that top, at least the top 2 rows in all of the racing that we've seen so far. Definitely a strong one. Elliot personally reminds me a lot of TCB from our league, where he'll do anything that it takes to stay at the front of the pack in these super speedway races.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a control factor. You know, you want to be able to own both lanes. He actually tried to do it on the backstretch last time by and nearly caught himself out and almost didn't have a lane to come back down and block off. The outside actually had a big run, so he tried to block it off, realized it wasn't going to work, came back down, and that spot was nearly filled and just kind of made it work right in front of Caden. May have been caught a break there, but it's about owning those lanes and making sure that you can manage the race. And, you know, obviously, to your point, if you can stay as the leader, 9 times out of 10 they're going to wreck behind you. You're not going to be the one that wrecks unless you're throwing a block. So that's just him trying to manage the race. We'll see how he does it from here. He's got Jack Painter lined up behind him now instead of Ashton Lawson, who was before.
Pace car dives on the pit road once again. The green flag is back out. We are racing once again underway in Daytona here. Cole Freilich gets out to a nice jump. Elliot, that's a little bit interesting, getting that jump on him, getting that jump on the field. Normally you want to stay tucked up with everybody and keep everybody compressed so nobody can get a run on you, but Cole Freilich dives down to the inside. He's going to have sole control of this field as they head off into one.
Yeah, I'll go back on what I said. It wasn't Ashton Lawson that was behind him. It was Caden Reif. These guys might be working together here to try to make this work, and Jack Painter's just going to fall in line. We'll have to see as you see Cole kind of go up towards the top. Maybe they're not working together. Maybe he's trying to defend a little bit of a position here, but as they go nearly 4 wide back there, trying to make stuff work for about 6th or 7th on back. It looks like these guys know the top lane's going to work. Cole's going to run it. Ashton's going to follow through on the bottom. Here comes the bottom lane, though.
Absolutely. 2 by 2 already back to the line. Ashton Lawson with the advantage, sticking his nose out there. Who's going to lead this lap as they come back to the line? It looks like it's going to be Lawson here is going to lead lap number 7 here. But yeah, like you said, those top 3 look pretty well coordinated. Got to think that there's some radio chatter going on between them, because they saw the 21 of Steven Gibson had that big run down the back, and all 3 of them jumped up there to block it. Just but Ashton Lawson and crew back behind him stayed on that bottom lane, and we are 2x2 all the way back here again. 3 wide. That's the number 1 car of Tyler Lanen. Going up 3 wide. He's still making moves. Move Tyler Lanen into the top 5 from that 21st starting position.
Well, we know that he's not afraid to do that as he's trying to look for a way around Caden Rife now. Right there, stuck behind him as they nearly bounce off each other. Kendall Carpenter there, where Jack Painter's going to be the one sent on the outside lane going backwards. Ryan Vargas up the middle as well. Tyler Lane and Ryan Vargas making themselves known. We mentioned it before lap 10. Here they are, lap 8 in the top 5.
2x2, except for that third lane there, with a blinking 97 of Jack Painter there, all hung out to dry, as the 98 of Caden Rife gets hung out there as well, so he's going to have a little bit of a help. But for the time being, they're going backwards. Move Tyler Lane has a nose out in front with Ryan Vargas there, and the 20 of Kendall Carpenter. Those guys been sticking together there. Got to think that there's some team action going on there. They've got the top side working now with Cole Freilich and Ashton Lawson down on the bottom.
Man, the guy nobody wanted to work with in the duel is right here trying to lead the thing in the main event now tonight here at Daytona, and he's got it by a whole car length. Ryan Vargas to second on that lap as well. Cole Freilich trying to work with Ashton Lawson on the bottom.
Absolutely, Tyler Lehman out front getting a huge push from Ryan Vargas here, and you gotta think that's that real life racing experience that Ryan Vargas has there. Just being able to get up and get this push, as you see the bump down the back there. It's we talked about the pointy nose in these cars. You can't just slam draft in these cars like you can in the current Cup cars, trucks, Xfinity, all of them. You have to be really gentle because that nose will just pick up the rear end of that car in front of you. But Ryan Vargas doing an absolute fantastic job staying hooked to the back bumper of Tyler Lane, and he's going to go right back to the lead. Tyler Lane marks out another one here in Daytona.
And you see Tyler's going to try to own the lanes here like Cole Freilich was doing early on, but unfortunately for Cole, that outside lane's a little bit too powerful. It's interesting because we saw Cole wanted to go to the outside with his trio. They went up there, and then he immediately abandoned it after everybody got shuffled out, and Tyler Lanen's nose appeared in his mirror, and then since he's gone to the bottom now, he's lost to now Lanen, and Ryan Vargas will clear him with Kendall Carpenter on the outside, and that outside lane is just chugging along, producing that conveyor belt we are oh so used to seeing here at Daytona.
Absolutely, Elliot. Ryan Vargas and Tyler Lanen now control the top 2 lanes. They've got fantastic help in the form of Kendall Carpenter and Cole Freilich behind him. Who's going to lead this lap as they come down the stripe? Another one in favor of Lanen, but here comes that outside lane of Ryan Vargas as they've got a lap car with some damage out in front of them here. Everybody dispatches and gets by as they go off into one. Cole Freilich getting a little squirrely there as they go off into one. Elliot, this rough surface already starting to chew up these tires and make handling a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, you always get a little bit worried about a Kevin LePage situation, but it was avoided there. We're all clean and still going green as they go 2x2 down the backstretch. Kendall Carpenter doesn't look like he's too bad at pushing Ryan Vargas up towards the front, although I'm sure Vargas is probably asking for a bit more because I'm sure he wants to be clear, as now Cole Freilich might clear him, and that could give him a chance to go to the top and potentially go back around, but he does not have that nose of Ryan Vargas clear. There's still 2x2 for second as Tyler Lanen leads.
Tyler Lanen in sole possession of the lead there across the line that time, but here comes that outside lane once again. It's basically just video game rubber banding here. Somebody gets a nose out in the front, and then they will control the lead, and then the opposite lane immediately rebounds back here as they're 2x2 all the way back to around the 17th position or so. I'm very surprised that we haven't single filed out a little bit more, but these guys love to race as we've got, the 59. That's the 59 of Sean Begley goes for a ride, and he gets around. There's a big wreck in the back. Sean Begley got turned off of the nose of, I believe that was Harry Grindell or Ethan Stuckwish there, but we've got another caution on the racetrack at lap 12 in this one. 3 cars involved in this one early on.
And it was just getting racy up front. Kendall Carpenter actually to the lead over Tyler Lane and Ryan Vargas, Gavin Newton, and Cole Freilich, your top 5 now. But we're going to go ahead and pull that replay back up. To your point, that 59 just got kind of turned off the nose going into turn 3. And you can see the stack up, and then right there, they just stack up a little bit too much, and a little bit of contact is made. And unfortunately, nowhere for either guy to really go. As soon as you get down to that grass, the brakes aren't really going to do a whole lot for you, and the 59 is going to go for a ride here. We'll have to see how much damage it does. These cars are usually pretty okay at they're pretty good at taking hits, but that's definitely not a good one for anyone involved there.
That's another good point, Elliot. These cars a little bit more robust, and combined with the high power that they've got, it's not necessarily like you tap the wall, or like in the truck or anything where you tap the wall and your race is done. You've got no aero advantage anymore, and you just get passed on the straightaways. These cars can take a little bit of a beating and still carry on as the rest of the field catches up here as we get ready for pit stops here. But yeah, like Elliot, these cars can take a little bit of a lick, as we've seen in this one, but the 16 of Ruby Estes involved in that one, that car has heavy damage. We'll have to see if she can carry on tonight.
Yeah, interesting scenarios here. Kendall Carpenter's actually going to hit pit road, but I will say I believe that was either the 33 or the 53 that, or maybe it was a 50, I think it was a 53 actually, of Griffin Jones that made contact with the 59 there. That is going to be heavy damage, and that may not be something you can come back from with how big of a hit that was to the front end of that car. They're pretty durable, but the aero is still going to matter a ton here, especially with the high speeds. These cars are hitting 190 plus miles an hour, so you want to be able to maintain that aero advantage as much as you can. But we'll have to see how these guys all fare off of pit road, and really interested in Kendall's strategy here to pit from the lead.
Well, that's not the first time we've seen a front-running car pit from the lead. We saw, was that Adam Sweet
Yep.
on the first stop, did the same thing. So maybe Kendall didn't like the racing that was going on. He had just gotten up to the lead, though. It was very interesting. But pit stops have all but been completed here. A couple cars still getting damage repaired on this one. Let's go back to our pit reporter, Ross Brockman here. Ross, what's the chatter like on after this wreck?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the little bit of conversation about the wreck, but not too bad. I was gonna jump back to that last run. We did actually have Freilich was a little upset with Lanen driving up there and making that second lane to race for the lead. I think he kind of was, I'm just paraphrasing, hoping that they were going to ride around for a while. But when Lanen and Vargas jumped up there, he made a comment about that and was thinking that they were going to maybe ride it out a little bit longer. But as far as these guys pitting here, I think it's really close to the edge of the fuel window. I think you wouldn't be able to make it even with just a max save. So maybe with some tires you can run a little bit longer and maybe catch some weird cautions later to do something with this. But ultimately, a lot of guys just fixing damage. And our free pass was Isaac Johnson. He was the lapper that they got around during that caution. He was 2 laps down, now back just 1 lap down with a very, very wounded car from that first caution. So that's what we got down here on pit road.
Excellent. Thank you for that report, Ross. And yeah, just hard racing, and it's going to collect some people. And unfortunately, Ruby Estes involved, Sean Begley involved. Good for Isaac Johnson, though, to get his lap back. Hopefully he can maintain some pace this time around and stick with the field here. But we double filed back up here. We've got 1 to green, and this time it'll be Tyler Lanen and Ryan Vargas out front leading the field to the green flag. So a couple new faces up here on this restart. We'll have to see how they can get reorganized. Obviously, you talked about how Tyler Lanen was upsetting some people with how he shot up through the field, but you can't really blame the guy. He had the run. Just take it, man. But good aggressive, hard racing early on. We'll have to see how that continues and how that racer dynamic continues through the race.
Listen, we're here to race, and I mean, I can understand Cole Freilich just wanting to relax and probably get to at least lap 20 before we start wrecking. That was the number for me. As soon as you pass lap 20, you can make it on 1 stop from there. So I get his position of wanting to not really push anything, but just because you're the leader doesn't mean these guys behind you don't want the lead as well. So we're here to race, and we're here to race for 80 laps. We're not here to ride for 79 and race for 1. So everyone up front going to try to get to that point. And how about Gavin Newton? We haven't talked anything about him through the duels or anything. He's sitting here in 3rd, started 10th, and just quietly finding his way up here. So we'll have to see how these guys work their way out. Vargas on the outside and Tyler Lanen on the inside. Going to bring him down.
This top 3 making a charge from that mid that mid pack here, making their presence known as the pace car is off on pit road. Green flag is out, and Ryan Vargas away with a shot here. Tyler Lanning kind of left stranded as both the 26 and the 15 are going to clear him, and they're going to go down and take control of that bottom lane here. And the top lane doesn't look as organized here. I'll be interested to see who on that outside, led by Ashton Lawson, is going to be the first to get back to these guys up here at the front. But the 26 and the 15 hooked up, and they are moving down this back straightaway.
No, they're not organized at all, but I believe that's Henry Kaloof behind Ashton Lawson. And if I remember anything from the duel and how these guys have run early on, and those two, the 63 and the 01, really like each other. The 63 is constantly right up the 01, and I believe he's the reason that Ashton got that win in the duel. So look for those guys to kind of work together, and you can already see Cole Freilich and Ryan Vargas both went back up to the top, and that top lane is now moving. Ryan Vargas leads. Two guys definitely on the same page here. It looked choreographed as both of them saw that up top line. You had to look so far back, but they just saw it starting to form and jumped up immediately to take that preferred lane here. Like we said, Elliot, it looks like this top lane is going to be just a little bit better when it comes to getting that run down off of 4 and 2 to get that run and come down the back straightaway and the lead laps, and that's what counts here at the end of the day. And we will have a lap car that these guys are going to have to pass at some point, closing up on them. They actually go to the apron. So the pack will go right on by here, as I believe that's Ruby on the inside after the accident, still trying to manage that damage. Ruby dives on the pit road out of harm's way from the field as Ryan Vargas rockets back out front, being pushed aggressively by Cole Freilich down into one there. The whole field bounces down through those bumps, and the 48 there of Gavin Newton, we talked about him on this restart, a little bit of a wash up there got really close to the 01. Got to manage those bumps down in 1, especially here at this old Daytona surface. Yeah, we saw Ashton Lawson get a little bit racy there. Looked like he maybe wanted to go down the middle with the 15 of Cole Freilich on the outside. Thought better of it. They're going to stay 2 by 2 here. I don't know if, since Cole was one complaining before, I don't know if I'd want to force him 3 wide and start shuffling people out. But right now they're all going to keep moving as. Now Ryan Vargas continues to lead. Tyler Lane and trying to make that inside work with Gavin Newton right behind him, and 2 by 2 all the way through. The field appears to have calmed down just a little bit, and as I say that, Tyler Lane goes back to gets his nose back out in front here. But for the most part, 2 by 2 here, a little bit settling down. We haven't. I hazard to bring this up again because it brought out a caution. It seemed like the last time, but. When these guys haven't really single filed out like I expected them to, we're still racing 2 by 2 all the way up here, and I guess that's the product of that outside lane and that rubber banding that the draft creates with these cars. You have to stay 2 by 2 because it's just the most efficient way to get around this racetrack. Yeah, I think aerodynamically and speed-wise, 2 lanes is honestly faster than just all following in line and following each other because of the stack-up. So we saw what the stack-up just caused when they're running like this. So obviously the stack-ups are still there. Wow, a bunch of cars got really loose off of turn 2 there. Maybe tires are starting to wear out now that we're 20 laps into this run. Remember, runs are about 28, 30-ish laps. So we're 2/3 into this run despite 2 caution flags, and these tires are going to wear out a little bit. The cars are going to get a little bit harder to handle, and we're starting to see that towards the rear of the field. And hopefully these guys can hold it together. But yeah, back to your point, those 2 lanes just seem to work better, and that's what's prevailing right now. I always find the different draft characteristics of the different stock cars around these Daytona, these super speedways like Daytona and Talladega. In these cars, it's more efficient to go 2 by 2. In other cars, I believe it's the Cup car, it's more efficient just to get lined up on the outside lane and just rip around the track. So lots of different disciplines coming here together in this Gen 4 car, and it's going to put on a great show here tonight as Ryan Vargas retakes the lead going down into 3. But like you said, Elliot, that tire's starting to play a factor here. The entire top 15, save Kendall Carpenter in 15th, so the top 14, has not pit. So they are still out there. At bare minimum, we've got 15 cars on their old tires.
unless anybody else didn't take tires and was saving a set and just pit for damage and fuel. But yeah, coming up on pit stops here, it's going to be very interesting to see these guys get down on pit road after being in this hard racing 2x2 all the way around here. Pit road can definitely be tricky when they get down off of 4, and then they fan out in like a fighter jet formation, and you just hope and pray that nobody else takes your line coming down in the pit lane.
Yeah, and I mean the bumps add to that. This is not an easy track to get around in general, and you're going to see that as this run continues to go on, another 4 or 5 laps, these guys are just going to have to manage those tires more and more. And coming off of turn 4, it's not easy to get down there and get down to speed with how quick these guys are going. They're running about 196, 197 miles an hour at the end of the straightaways and about 192 through the corners. So they are flying around this joint as they're going to catch another lap car who looks like he's going to run the wall this time by. And Ryan Vargas is going to go up there, get a little bit of draft, and pull the field along. But it's not easy to get on pit road with how fast these cars are going. And then couple that with how the bumpers don't line up, and you could see someone run into someone and cause a massive accident just trying to get to pit road.
Absolutely, definitely. I want to take a look further at the 48 of Gavin Newton. The last couple laps, I've watched him coming through the trioval, specifically in this part of the track. He's dipped his left side tires down onto that yellow line, and it's gotten him squirrely. He's had to catch the car a little bit coming back out of the trioval there. Something to watch. You get those tires. You just get a little complacent, dip them down on that left side, and the different gradient can definitely upset this, especially in the trioval where the car gets light. So that can definitely be a trouble spot, as we've already seen a couple cars, to include the 48 of Gavin Newton, having to catch it here late in this run.
Yeah, Gavin proved he's a great pusher, but I think with where Tyler's kind of running, you can see Tyler right down on that yellow line, kind of forces Gavin to go down there, and then they both kind of hit the apron, and look at the run that Ryan Vargas and Cole Freilich get. They're both clear coming across the line that time. Move now the 01 of Ashton Lawson up to third, and maybe you're starting to see the resurgence of the outside lane. Here comes Lawson to the inside. He's going to make the move. He's going to go up to second place. But I think that's just a product of Tyler Langdon running so low and Gavin just kind of following in his tiptoes, and they all just kind of catch the apron. And now Ashton Lawson's going to make mincemeat out of this top 3 and put himself on point.
2 number 1 cars, the 01 and the number 1, leading this inside lane here, trying to clear that top lane, led by Ryan Vargas and Cole Freilich, who've been so dominant up here the entire race practically. But yeah, Elliot, like you said, that last run that Vargas and crew got coming off of 4, it was because of that stack up here. They go 3 wide here. Tyler Landon says, I don't want to play. He will not be the bridesmaid today. Tyler Landon wants control of at least one of these lanes, preferably 2 here, as we're going to have another car trying to dip their toe down in there. I believe that's the 63 of Henry Kaloff, but still Tyler Landon maintains control of the bottom lane, says nothing doing. I will be the one to challenge the 26 and the 15. Big racing going on as the 26 and the 15 almost try and scamper away there from that shuffle.
Yeah, gotta wonder if Freilich likes that. It's like, if it messes up the guys behind me and keeps me sitting up here clean and pretty, I might enjoy that. But Tyler Langdon definitely proven that he's not really here to make friends. He's just here to kind of grab a win and try to see how far this line will take him. And he kind of had a little bit of a run and got just enough to get on Ashton Lawson's quarter panel and make that middle lane work. And now here he comes with Henry Kalouf on his back bumper, and Ashton Lawson now settles back to third in that inside lane.
Well, it's just science. You can't win the race by following. So, and Tyler Landon is not a follower, clearly. So he is doing his utmost to get out front, stay out front, and give himself the best chance to win this race. I expect to see that number 1 car, the embodiment of Ricky Bobby, checkers or wreckers in this one. We will see him at the end of this race, either across the finish line, first or second, or upside down on his roof, and I can't wait for the rest of this race to unfold here. We are 27 laps through this event here. Pit stops will be coming up here. We're right at the window for fuel here, as the field catches the 24 of Marty Farrell, and he will go a lap down, as well as another car in front of him. That's can't particularly see who that is. That's the 59 of Sean Begley. Caught up in the last one. There's a big shuffle there. Cars up in the air, inside out, up. we stay green, but there's cars going through the grass, making passes everywhere. Miraculously, we stay green, but a huge shuffle in the field.
Yeah, I was about to say, I wonder if Tyler Langdon's making any friends, and what really happened is we're actually going to get a yellow from that. I think that happened back behind the pack a little bit. We're going to have to go back and look at all this, but it looked like Langdon just kind of needed to get to the top lane. He had clearance over Vargas, albeit not a whole lot, and when he slid up, it sent Vargas right up on the outside wall, basically, and Tyler Langdon was simply just trying to get around the lap car that was there that was not exactly on the yellow line, and Tyler needed to get up, and it just kind of created a situation where Vargas caught the wall. Freilich ran into Vargas. They all kind of connected with each other, and I'm sure we'll get some comments from Ross especially about how Freilich feels about that, because he was kind of the meat in the sandwich there and had no really intent of being there.
Absolutely. Good luck to our producer of trying to catch all the action in this one. It just looked like a bomb went off in the middle of the field there following that one. Tyler Lane is still your leader on the other side of it. Ashton Lawson behind him. But yeah, the two dominant cars, Freilich and the 26 of Ryan Vargas, way back in 8th and 9th now through this shuffle here. As we get a replay of it, everybody just went up to the front. Freilich sideways, you can see the right side door numbers of his car coming down off of the turn. And then, yeah, I knew there were cars up in the air, just absolute scatter and mayhem there that they all managed to keep it straight is beyond me. But at this point, I'm just curious as to what iRacing saw needed to bring out a caution here. As we've got pit stops, the entire field's going to come down now. We're right at the end of fuel, so everybody's going to come down for fuel and tires, I imagine.
Yeah, and I was going to mention someone like Kendall Carpenter, where that may have hurt them, but honestly, they were running 6th at the point of that, so no harm, no foul. Really quick, I believe it was Balderas he made his way all the way up to 3rd. Remember, he started last, didn't even have the green flag, or didn't even take the green flag, started from pit road, as Vargas actually just missed his stall. I was watching that, but
Vargas missed his stall. The one of Tyler Lane missed his stall. The 70 has also missed their stall. Pit road's a madhouse right now. Everybody's shaking and rattled trying to get in these pit stalls from this wreck. The race off pit road is just one that I have no words. Let's go to Ross. Ross, what are you hearing on the radio? Because it's got to be just blowing up.
Yeah, there was a little bit of some blame game passed around with that accident here that brought out this yellow. Obviously, some people that were frustrated with the lapper of Marty Farrell in the 24, but also a lot of people that were saying it wasn't his fault. Langdon did kind of take blame for it. Obviously, Freilich was a little disappointed in how that all happened and what ensued with trying to get around the lapper. So. A little bit of frustration from earlier, boiling over again. You guys did ask or wonder on the caution there. It seems that was a admin caution, one of those weird iRacing, like, I can't believe that wasn't a caution, and it looks like admin decided to throw it because yes, it definitely, we had some cars in the air and cars all over the place. Like you said, a bomb went off on the backstretch for sure.
Well, we appreciate the admins having taken control of the situation and getting everybody re-corralled. I would have been to watch that field try and come back together would have been a work of art too in this one. But yeah, I can't. A lot of hurt feelings on this one as we get another replay here. They're 4 wide going up into this one, and unfortunately, one of the dominant cars, Cole Freilich, just on the bad end of it. He's still sitting on pit road trying to get that damage repaired. As I say that, he peels off of pit road and makes his way around to try and catch the field. So hopefully he can get back in it. But yeah, just absolute carnage, and we're lucky that it wasn't more. You can see that's the 70, and I can't quite see who that car is there down on the, what do you call it, the apron there, way down on the inside of the back straightaway. Cars were everywhere. Yeah, it looked like Kendall Carpenter's actually not too bad. Going to line up second here with Ashton Lawson as far as damage goes. So yeah, it really looks like Cole Freilich is the worst off as far as damage. It doesn't look like anybody else really got beat up. The 43 was put in the outside wall, and the 70 also made some contact. That's the 70 of Harry Grindell and the 43 of Bryden Lindauer, who is now a lap down. Both of those guys ended up suffering a little bit more damage, but I think Cole Freilich was basically the one that took the most hit there. And then Ryan Vargas had a little bit of side damage, and honestly, Tyler
Tyler Lane caught the wall a little bit, but certainly not as bad as those other guys. So we'll have to see how this sorts out. But how about Ashton Lawson up to the front, duel number 2 winner, sorry, out here leading Alex Balderas all the way up to third from 31st. And we haven't talked about Nolan Sanford. Welcome to the top 5, sir, from 27th. All these guys kind of making their way up through there during that mayhem.
The field has started to flip. You can see it. I mean, all these guys coming from the back. Sanford, Balderas, everybody else. Ian Smith has cracked the top 10 as well. Vargas pinned back in 10th. Some new names showing their faces up here, and I expect to see a lot of action. We have to I'll be very interested to gonna have to cue in Ross here during this green flag run to see how these guys are managing the new faces up here, because you get complacent and start to familiarize yourself with who you're running with, and then all of a sudden something like that happens, a caution flips the field, and now you've got new faces and you don't know how they run. So it's going to be very interesting to see how we go. Green flag is back out as the 01 of Ashton Lawson's away with a shot. The 20 of Kendall Carpenter immediately tries to tuck back down, then goes back, thinks better of it, goes back down to the outside. Going to have to check the rule book on that one for a lane change, possibly, but already action happening here as they fire off into one.
And actually, yeah, the 20's being shown a pass-through for restart violation potentially upcoming. We'll have to see how that unfolds. Don't see the penalty having been given out yet, but it's been talked about through admin chat. So Kendall Carpenter to the lead, but potentially we'll have to serve a black flag here, as we've still got the 1 of Taylor Lawson trying to make that outside lane work with now the 43 up on the outside. Or I'm sorry, that's a 48 up on the outside.
Yeah, that's Gavin Newton. We talked about him, and their dives. Holy crap, Kendall Carpenter dives down below, and I don't think Ashton Lawson was ready for it. He was down there with him, pulling a Carl Edwards there, having to go around him to get back onto this pack, and Ashton's lost all of his positions. He's way back there, back around the 20th position. Now he's going to have a long fight to get back to the front.
Well, first of all, Gavin Newton to the lead, but what happened there was Balderas actually ran over Ashton Lawson coming out of the corner. I'm not really sure how that happened, or if I don't know if Ashton had to lift or what happened there, but the resurgence of the top lane's now working, but it lost Ashton all of his spots.
The resurgence of the top lane, but here comes two powerhouses who we have well noted not too happy with each other. Tyler Lane and Cole Freilich already back to the top 5. Ryan Vargas in second there. You definitely know who the powerhouses are in this super speedway game here tonight. These guys absolutely duking it out here. The 48, the 1, the 26, the 15. Those are, I believe the winner is going to come from one of those 4. I'm making that prediction on lap 34 out of 80 here.
Yeah, that's about what I would say. I wouldn't count out the 01. We've got to see how Ashton can reboot from this, because we haven't seen him outside the top 5 pretty much at all in either race, a dual or this one. And if I'm Tyler Lane and I want to lead a lane, but I don't want to be in front of that 15, and I think he's showing that right there. Now he's going to try to come down across him, and look at how tight that all gets. The 48 doesn't care. He's going to go to the outside. How about Gavin Newton going to show some muscle right there as well? And Ryan Vargas will clear him, but yep, that is definitely a power move by Cole Freilich to get to the inside of Tyler Lane and trying to show some displeasure after I'm sure he feels as though that was pretty much Lanen's fault as to how that wreck all unfolded.
Absolutely. Racer psychology being shown here as Tyler Lane gets involved, and he's around. Big wreck here. Tyler Lane sideways collects the 95 of Alex Balderas, who is having such a great run coming from all the way in the back. And it ends with the number 1 of Tyler Lane stopped backwards on the backstretch. Absolute. I mean, that's a product of that. I mean, Tyler just tried to put a race car in a spot where there was not space.
I feel like he had the space and then it just closed. That was all just very intense for what it was, and I thought that would calm down after that wreck, and they'd realize, all right, we don't really need to be doing all this. But unfortunately, I think as soon as Cole Freilich got up there, it got a little bit more intense. And yeah, the 98 came down a little bit. The 1 just kind of continued on, thought he would have a gap. And unfortunately, the 14 is involved in that one. The 95, or I'm sorry, that is the 95 Alex Balderas. And some other cars are involved. But I don't think that damage is too bad on Tyler Lane.
Well, I certainly hope not, because he's going to have a long march from the back to get back up there. I mean, he's proven that he's more than capable of doing it, but a long one here as you ride on board here with Nathan Kiani, who was having a great run, started in the 13th position, managed to get his way all the way up into that top 5, was contending for that lead. First time we had talked about him tonight, and then he just gets involved in some drama that wasn't his doing. That he wasn't even there for the start of it, but he sure was wrapped up in the finish of it. Unfortunate happenings for Nathan Kiani. We'll look for a rebound from him.
Yeah, we'll have to see what that damage is like with that car, because you could see he thought the 98 was going to go up, and the 98 did not go up, and there was no real hole there for Tyler to try to get down into. As everybody looks like they're going to come down pit road here, just kind of top off and regroup, I'm sure. But I think we're going to have to look at how Kiani's damage works out, because there are cases where if you hit that outside wall, it could break suspension pieces, and that could be why he ended up losing control there after the wreck was pretty much dead and done. So we'll have to see how long he sits on pit road here, and if that suspension will hold up.
Absolutely. Let's go to Ross Brockman here. Ross, what's the chatter? It's got to be hot now.
Yeah, it's not as bad as you think. Actually, it's been pretty good. I think a couple people just kind of saying it's kind of a racy deal. A little bit of Kiani had said that just kind of trying to save it, and unfortunately got into the 60, and just kind of was like, "Hey, sorry, I was just trying to save it. Did not know you were there." It's kind of a last second move there, but you guys talked about wondering how much damage he has. We saw Cole Freilich at that last incident. He had probably close to 40 seconds of damage on pit road that he worked on and drove right back up there. So I think some of these guys, depending on how much they have, we have a couple, the 24 of Farrell, Kiani, and the 17, Tyler Lannon, that are all on pit road. It looks like maybe working on some damage right now that I think once you get it fixed up, you can, as Freilich showed there, drive right back up there if you got the car and the skills to do it. So I'm a little intrigued by this strategy of pitting here. I guess maybe then it gives you a little bit better to break it up the next one, but still can't make it, of course. You'll have to go probably another 10 to 15 laps at least before you can make it the rest of the way on fuel. But yeah, that's what we got down here on pit road.
Thanks for that report, Ross. I'm looking at the pit times there. It's a lot of roughly 5-second pit stops, so I would imagine that was just a top off on fuel kind of thing. I can't imagine anybody took tires. Definitely, I question the 2-tire. Well, maybe not necessarily question the 2-tire call here at Daytona, but I'm thinking based on times that it's definitely a fuel strategy for these guys. But
we got a couple we got a couple here that are staying out though too. So some people that looks like Gibson, Pervolarkis, and Grindel are all going to stay out here.
I was absolutely just about, you took the words right out of my mouth, Ross. Those three up there showing their faces for the first time tonight up here at the front. So we're going to see what these guys are made out of. Gibson, Pervolarkis, and Grindel will lead the field when we get back around here. And you want to talk about who caught a break with that caution was the 20 of Kendall Carpenter. Having that penalty was all by himself. And, was absolutely going to get swallowed up by the field eventually with no help, but catching a huge break to get caught back up in this field, already back up in the 18th position. So Kendall Carpenter on the rebound.
Yeah, if we get to interview Kendall by the end of this one, I think we'll have a lot to talk about, because he's seen it all today, going back and forth, being involved in accidents and everything. So we'll have to see how he can work his way back up to the field. But yeah, Stephen Gibson's going to lead him down with Chris Pervolarkis to the outside. These guys, Stephen started up inside the top 10, but Pervolarkis and Grindel both started outside the top 20. Now are running second and third. And we'll just have to see how aggressive Ryan Vargas, we know how aggressive he can be. We'll have to see how aggressive he wants to be here on this restart, with Cole Freilich just behind him and Gavin Newton now kind of showing some muscle running up inside the top 5. But don't forget about Henry Kaloof out there. Remember, we talked about him working really well with Ashton Lawson. He's a really good pusher. We haven't seen him try to lead lines, but he's sitting there, I'd say, third on the outside lane out of the fast guys that we've seen up front all night. So we'll see how he can work his way up through here as well.
Some new faces up here at the front. We're going to see the green flag here as the pace car leads them down, and we'll make that hard left down on the pit lane here. The field is in the control of Steven Gibson, who has a win last season at Kern County, knows how to get it done in this league. Going to be away with a shot here, 2-3 car length lead. Elliot, I hazard to think how that run's going to be as the top lane is coming here. Gibson up to block, and he looks like he'll maintain as they head off into one.
He's going to go back down to the bottom. Here comes Pervalarkis on the outside with Ryan Vargas pushing. The inside's not exactly put together yet. There's about the same amount of cars on either lane, but neither of them really know which way they want to go. Vargas is trying to push the 49. I don't know if the 49 wants to push, though, and now Vargas is going to look to the third lane. It's going to give Gavin Newton a lane to the bottom, but now Pervalarkis is going to go to the inside. Ryan Vargas to the outside. Newton up top with Cole Freilich right there on that top lane.
Boy, the inside there coming off of 2 had a big stack up, big moment. I thought we were about to have a repeat of the lap number 2 wreck, but everybody held on to it here. But it's all going to come out bright and shiny for Ryan Vargas here as he leads lap number 39 in this 40-lap event. Next time by will be halfway, and I hazard to think that anybody, the person leading it halfway will win the race. But with the dominance, the powerhouse that we've seen from the 26, the 48, the 15, you got to think that one of them is definitely going to come away with this one as we still look back to try and find Tyler Lehman, but it looks like he's lost the draft.
He may just be taking it easy from here with having been involved in a couple different skirmishes that I don't think he wanted anything to do with. Again, only halfway. There's plenty of racing to go. You don't want to sit there and mix it up too much. Ashton Lawson still trying to find his way up there, and still holding strong on that outside. But I think those top 4 on the outside are 4 guys you definitely need to watch aside from Tyler Lane and Ashton Lawson. Is now the pack really starting to form back up. About 20 cars deep here, all under a blanket, about a second apart.
Yeah, definitely getting that accordion effect. And speak of it, there goes the accordion on the bottom lane. Move that top side, led by Ryan Vargas, back out front there, and the top 3 in that lane, all nose to tail there, getting that big draft here as Kendall Carpenter shooting it 3 wide back for the 10th or so spot, still making moves all the way up through the middle. Shades of Tyler Lane in there. Kendall coming back up through, still 3 wide. Where does it end?
Hey, if they keep making the lane, you might as well keep forcing their way through there. Henry Kalouf's going to be the latest one out now as they're both up in the wall, the 38 as well, and they're going to try to get it together. I believe that's Ian Smith, actually. We haven't talked about him, but yeah, that's a 28 of Ian Smith, and kind of I called him the 38 because he's in a little bit of an M&M's paint scheme there, inspired by the old Elliott Sadler 38 car. But yeah, Kendall Carpenter made his way up there, and here we go. Now Ryan Vargas shuffles out I don't know who shuffled out Gavin Newton, but Gavin Newton got shuffled by, I believe, Cole Freilich, and now they're all racing. There goes the 49. Chris Pervalarkis back up to the top. Ryan Vargas going to potentially shuffle him out. No, push him down the front stretch, and they are just a mess for about this top 10 now.
Pervalarkis throwing a huge block there, almost getting that power combo of Vargas and Freilich. A little out of sorts, but Freilich backs off, was able to get back under him, and whoa, what a moment there. The 49 and the 26 coming together, door banging there, and it's going to allow the 21 and the 70 to get away with a shot. 3 wide there for the 3rd place spot. The power duo of Vargas and Freilich has been broken up, but here comes that 20 of Kendall Carpenter pushing, was pushing, in fact. Freilich out trying to challenge back for this lead here. Here they come, 2 wide and then 3 wide. Still, Alexander Balderas has made his way back up in here. I've lost track of how many of who's come from the back to the front and front to the back, but it's all happened at least 3 times now.
And they're still door banging back there. There's Balderas and Vargas getting together ever so slightly. It makes everyone kind of run around. And the 48 of Gavin Newton really loose in the middle. And a name that we haven't called in a while, Ashton Lawson, is backed out of this. I believe Ian Smith has said, I'm good. I'm not dealing with this anymore. And the 27 and 70, who were so comfortable halfway down the backstretch last time, now have a gaggle of cars all up behind them. And how about the 02 from nowhere? That's John Daniels. Started 9s, but we haven't talked about him all night, sitting here trying to push the 27, or the 70, I'm sorry, of Harry Grindle back up to the front, around the 27.
Harry Grindell is going to take the lead here, and they're going to go 3 wide for the 2nd place spot. Move the token UK Brit to the front of the pack. Harry Grindell leads his first lap here tonight.
And they shuffle Cole Freilich out. That's Kendall Carpenter now second on the top lane behind the 27 of Steven Gibson. Sorry, that's a 21. It looks like a 7, but that is a 21 of Steven Gibson. Kendall Carpenter trying to clear Cole Freilich, but Cole Freilich holding strong in that outside lane.
It looks like, guys, they've figured out who the powerhouse cars are, and the rest of the field's starting to gang up on the likes of the 15, the 20, the 26. They've realized those guys have had their time in the sun, and the rest of the field wants it. As the one of Tyler Lane is up in the wall, they're slow. We'll have to check and see if he can maintain the draft. But up front here, Harry Grindell still continues to lead. But here comes the 21 of Steven Gibson, powering back to the outside, move him back to the top spot.
Yeah, I saw that. Landon was trying to make a move back there, and it did not work out, unfortunately for him. And that's just kind of the risky take by going all the way out there. And I think that's why a lot of these guys aren't trying to make a third lane, because it's very, very slippery and dangerous to run up there because of the fact that these guys in the middle lane really don't have as much control as you think. They're kind of, if the bottom lane pushes up, they're going to push up. And if they push up, they're up into you, and you're already inches from the wall. There's not a lot of room on this track, especially with the bumps. The car just kind of goes where it wants. And Steven Gibson will own the track right now. Looked like he was going to cut across Harry Grindell's nose, but he'll just hold the top lane as the 70 is now side by side with him for the lead again.
Yep, side by side there for the top spot. The 0-2 looks to the inside, thinks better of it, tucks back in line here, and that's going to allow Steven Gibson, with the push from Kendall Carpenter, to once again lead at the stripe there. I want to go back to Ross Brockman there. Let's hear the chatter. How's the chatter comparing inside or while we're under green versus under yellow?
Yeah, it's been pretty calm. I think a lot of there was a couple comments about how that 20 of Kendall Carpenter after coming back from this penalty drove all the way to second, now looking for the lead. There was a couple drivers that were like, "Hey man, we still got 40 laps to go. What are you doing?" But he used that middle lane to drive through up through the pack, which is pretty cool. Trying to take the lead here off of 4.
Absolutely, Kendall Carpenter making it work, and he will go back to the lead here. He leads at the stripe. I mean, Kevin Harvick style on that one. Just has the nose out in front, move the 20 back to the point here. But I mean, as far as, I mean, if, like Elliott said, if there's a lane, you just take it, because he was probably going up through there half throttle. It looked like he had 20 extra horsepower on the entire field, Elliott. I mean, you just take what you can get.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you can see Freilich's actually going to go to the outside of him here and kind of put him back in the middle and say, that's where you wanted to be, that's where you'll go, as Vargas also kind of tries to work that outside lane. They're trying here to make it exciting, but Kendall just kind of showed a problem with what they're doing. They're all running a little too far off each other in the top lane. If they want to go places, needs to pinch down that bottom lane and kind of hold them down. And Kendall just kind of exposed that and drove up through the middle of them, and is still kind of holding bay as these guys are all getting really squirrely around each other. You can see just how hard these cars are to really handle. Vargas right up against the wall there, but it worked for Kendall, and now he finds himself up inside the top 5, found himself in the lead at one point.
Absolutely. I mean, Kendall still holding his own there in that middle lane. Obviously, he's got the 15 there in front of him now, as it looks like they're going to go 3 wide for the top spot there. If the 26 can get a nose back out in front, nope, doesn't get the help, so they'll go. Vargas goes back to that. As we've got a car around the 35, the 49, cautions out on the Speedway. Pervalarkis is involved. That's the 35 of Ian Stuckwish around there. I believe everybody keeps it out of the wall, but caution is out on the Speedway here. 31 laps to go in this one, and it just seems like the action is just ramping up more and more.
I think I saw the 60 of Nick Roten in that as well, but yeah, Ross kind of called this early. He said the first half he assumed would be a little relaxed, like we saw in Duel 2, and the second half will be a little bit more like Duel 1. And I don't know that we've really gotten a Duel 2 yet. We haven't seen a green flag pit stop, but we've definitely had action all night, and it looked like right there, that's just a traditional stack up. The 0-2 ran the top, probably got a little bit loose or tight up there, had to back out of it a bit. The 49 really nowhere to go, and then the 35 and the 60 absolutely nowhere to go, and just kind of all ran up on each other. That's it. You don't usually see a stack up off the corner. It's usually where guys are gaining the most momentum, but the 0-2, I believe, is on older tires, and seemed to be struggling there. That's why John went up to the top. But wow, right there you can see the 28. That was Ian Smith. Gets probably put in the wall, I'd assume, off of that. And the 60's not really going to take a light hit there, as he hits the inside wall as well.
Absolutely. It unfortunately ends with the likes of Ethan Stuckwish around backwards sitting there on that apron. So like you said, Elliot, that's that stack up coming down off of the corner. I believe it was the lead car in that little sandwich had to catch it, like you said. That was the 49 of Pervalaricus. Had to catch it, and it just caused a stack up. But we've got pit stops here as Cole Fralick leads him down pit road here. What's the strategy looking like with 31 to go? We're right outside of a fuel window.
I think that's kind of it. There's two sides to this, obviously. We're right outside the fuel window as Cole actually overshoots his stall. A bunch of people overshooting their box here, but I think the big side of this is they probably all know they're going to get at least one caution here. So they assume they're going to be good on fuel, pitting here, and looks like Cole's actually taking tires. Some guy's not even taking tires. He took 2 lefts there, may have taken 2 rights at a different point to kind of have fresher tires. So a little bit of tire strategy going on as well, and that just kind of shows that tires are certainly wearing and becoming an issue for some of these guys to warrant them wanting to take them. But from here, you're good to make it on fuel, especially if you get another caution. So I think this is the right call by most of the field. We did have a couple guys stay out, though.
Yeah, I was just going to say Alex Balderas has stayed on the racetrack. He will inherit the lead on this one. It looks like he's the only one. Bryden Lindauer also stayed out. I believe he's gonna come out. Well, nope, I take that back. He pit. My telemetry hadn't quite caught up to that one. But I question these staying out right here at the end. But I mean, Alex has come from the back twice now. I mean, hard to argue with him, even though on paper it doesn't look like the wave. But hey, it's worked out so far.
Well, you got to wonder if he's going to come down here and just take the penalty start at the tail end and know that he has the fuel and be able to start at the back. That's what a couple guys have been doing. We saw it, I believe, out of, I think it was either the 53 or the 59 earlier. I think it was Sean Begley decided to pit on the second go around, and looks like that might be what Balderas does here, just to, this way. Actually, he didn't lead a lap. I was thinking maybe that was to lead a lap as well, like Kendall Carpenter did at one point, but just an extra lap in the bank, come in, pit, get your fuel. I'd be surprised if we don't see some guys towards the back also do it, because why not, get that extra lap in just in case.
Absolutely, but it looks like we're only going to have 2-3 takers now, as Balderas has completely missed his stall. Going to have to back all the way up. Well, I mean, he's already losing spots. Might as well start in the very, very back. Come down and get that extra fuels. He's still backing up on pit road. Maybe having a little trouble locating that pit stall there. But
perks of being the only guy to pit, though, you don't need to worry about any of this. So you will be able to catch field and be fine.
Right? Yeah, they'll still line up 2 by 2 here on the back straightaway. They're in turn number 2 right now, and everybody will get caught back up. Some lappers have just been some lap cars have just been released to make their way back around the track. But it looks like it's going to be the 20 of Kendall Carpenter and the 48 of Gavin Newton, guys who've been up front all night long, just kind of in the shadow of the 15 and the 26, but they will have the start, and the 15 and 26 going to be back there in that third lane, as well as Harry Grindell in the 70 and the 21 of Steven Gibson, still making a name for themselves up here. They've now equalized on fuel strategy, so that off sequence there definitely paying out. Let's see if they can hold on to the spots here, as they've got a pack of hungry guys in front of them and behind them.
Yeah, really quick, just an update. Ruby Esses is 34 laps down out of the race in 31st. Nathan Chiani, 9 laps down in 30th. Sean Begley, 6 laps down in 29th. Isaac Johnson, 2 laps down in 28th. Jeff Yanich is 1 lap down in 27th. And Ian Smith has just left the server in 26th. He will likely fall all the way to 30th if these other guys have not backed out already. Just an update on your guys that are a lap down. We saw 25 cars on the lead lap, with Brian Lindauer being your last car on the lead lap. Tyler Elanen, 24th, and we will bring them back down with Gavin Newton and Kendall Carpenter on the front row here.
Pace car dives onto pit road here. Carpenter leads them back down to the stripe, and they're going to be side by side, the 20 and the 48, as there's a huge gap back to the second spot there. But I keep saying that there's a huge gap and expecting a big run, but we don't really see it. These guys managed to keep everybody corralled back behind them there. I keep expecting somebody to jump out of line. I have to imagine that it's going to happen soon. But the 20 and the 48 holding fast right now here as they rocket around the turns and down the back straightaway.
So some we didn't really cover. Kendall Carpenter is a phenom at these restarts. That's the second time now. I almost thought he'd get penalized for beating Gavin Newton back to the start-finish line. He did not restart as a leader right there. He restarted as second place. But really good work for the 21 of the 70. That's Steven Gibson and Harry Grindel. I know we've seen Steven in the top 10 pretty much all night, but Grindel, who started 24th, now finds himself in the top 5 because of that staying out on the last stop and then making it work until this current one. Now he's on par with everybody, and he's inside the top 5. So these guys playing their strategy really well. Two guys that weren't inside the top 10 previously.
Definitely, like we mentioned, those guys flipping the strategy, getting that position, and it's paying dividends here. Unfortunately, that top side looks to be, as the 15, the 26 going to go 3 wide here. They know where the power lies. Big bump up to the 48, who goes up to block. Gavin covers the spot, and they're still going to be 3 wide here for the lead when they come off of turn 4 here. The 20, the 21, and the 48 all want it here as Carpenter gets squirrely there, and the 48 of Gavin Newton just gets hung out to dry, and unfortunately he's not going to have the power that Gavin Newton did there when he was making it work in the middle. He will be going backwards in this one on the outside.
And Freilich tries to go to the bottom. Gibson throws a big block all the way down to the apron. These guys are acting like we're at 10 laps to go, and we're only on lap 55. There's still 25 laps left in this one, and these guys are running really hard for the lead, still blocking down the backstretch to Cole Freilich. Now they're 3 wide again. Kendall Carpenter on the bottom, and Ryan Vargas and Cole Freilich up top. Steven Gibson's going to get tossed out, just like Gavin Newton did a couple laps ago.
Well, Gibson tucks back in line in that 4th spot there on the bottom. He will not, not as bad of a shuffle out as what happened to Newton, who's back there another 3 spots behind him there, but absolutely 3 wide for, 3 straight laps. Those, like you said, Elliot, they're racing like it's 10 to go. But the best spot to have control of the race is out front, where you can have control of the race.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. You want to be either out front or pretty much nowhere near this pack at the back. That way you can avoid anything that happens. And we've seen enough happen pretty much all over the place at this point, from up inside the top 2 or 3 spots all the way back to about 25th, as they're 3 wide again. I know 2 of John Daniels trying to make something work. We saw him get into a skirmish with the 49, actually, who's now passing him on the inside as they come off of turn 4 right there. That's what caused the last incident. But these guys now, Cole Freilich goes to the point, all very aggressive up at the front, wanting to lead this one.
It's very interesting. All these guys have the new tires now. We've been on this pit run for effectively 7 on-track laps. But when they come off of 4, you can definitely note the age of tires based on how far everybody slides back to the outside coming off of 4. They can hold it down to the bottom right now, as you'll probably see it here when they come back around this time. But as those tires wear, the slides and the hold, that grip that Kendall Carpenter's got on that yellow line right now, as he slides up just a little bit, and the 70 of Grindel takes a look to the inside there. The tires will start to wear, and that slide will be more, and somebody can capitalize there if Carpenter's not careful.
Yeah, it's definitely going to come down to who has the best tires, especially if you run this one all the way out. And the other question is, can these guys all definitely make it on field? We know 30 laps is, pretty much average, but we don't know if anybody can actually do all 30, and they're right on the edge of that. So that's going to be an interesting story if we don't end up getting yellow, but with how these guys are racing, we don't really know what to expect.
Speaking of fuel, Alex Balderas, who we documented pit on that on the last lap before we went green, has lost the draft. He and another lap car, I believe that's the 33 of Isaac Johnson, they've fallen off the pack. They're just now coming out of 4. So unfortunately, unless we catch another wreck, which credit to Balderas for trying to predict that. It looks like his race is over and shot with, but we've still got plenty of racing to go, plenty of carnage left on the table. As back out front, Cole Freilich has once again found his way to the front with help from the 26 of Ryan Vargas, but the 20 and the 70 not letting them get away.
I mean, even then, you mentioned Balderas and the fact that you could potentially get a caution and get back up to the front. I look back at guys like Ashton Lawson that were fast early on and Taylor Lane and that, have maybe a little bit of damage, or they're just sitting back there biding their time. We're pretty certain the one car has a lot of damage, but we haven't really seen anything out of the 01. And obviously, he ran really well and won his duel. So interested to see him run all the way back there. But as this race goes on, we're closing in on, we're at basically 20 to go now, and every lap less is just going to get more and more intense, and it's going to be harder to make up positions. So even if you get a yellow now and you're back in 20th, it's going to be really difficult to drive up this field. I think at this point, you want to be up inside that top 5 or 10 to really have a shot at this. And so, to your point, guys like Balderas and Ashton Lawson and Tyler Lane, and it's pretty much now or never.
Definitely two schools of thought when it comes to super speedway racing. And we talked about it a little bit at the start of the show. You either want to be out front controlling this thing, or you want to be in the very, very back until you can't wait anymore, and trying to miss all the wrecks that happen. And it just becomes a gamble from that strategy. The farther you go, it seems like the more likely there's a caution, but also at the same time, odds of there not being a caution continue to go up. And sometimes you can just get left out to dry with a fast car, like Ashton Lawson's got. We talked about him as we ride on board with Caden Rife here, sitting in that third position on the outside in the outside lane. But it's either go time, or you sit and wait until you can't afford to anymore, or you just get caught out.
And unfortunately, with how this is going, we may see some of those guys caught out. But right now, I'm more concerned as to who can gain an advantage at this point. We've talked about these top 3 in the top lane. Cole Freilich, Ryan Vargas, and Caden Wright. We've talked about Henry Kalouv. We've talked about Harry Grindell. And we've talked about Kendall Carpenter. But who's going to gain the advantage here? These guys have just been side by side. No one's really clearing anyone. Freilich doesn't get a run or go anywhere. You got to wonder if these guys are just kind of all sitting here biding their time now that they're content and they're happy where they are. They don't have a Taylor Lane up here trying to mix it up. They don't have Kendall Carpenter coming up through the middle. Is it now just ride until lap 78 and see what happens?
Well, the guys who've seen all the carnage, I certainly hope so. You'd like to think that they'd calm down a little bit after seeing so many guys that they've been racing against, as we see the 70 kind of wash up there into the 26. You'd hope that they calm down and let this thing ride out. And ideally, you can't win the race if you don't. excuse me, if you don't make it to the end. So the art of preservation definitely, I think, being enacted here a little bit as the 20 gets his nose back out in front. But it at this point, I think you're starting to line up who's been working with you, who might stab you in the back, and who can you make a new friend with here, as we are inside 18 to go now.
And I'm really interested in Kendall Carpenter and Harry Grindell. I believe Harry has a win on a super speedway, but Kendall being up here is not someone that we've really talked about at all. And we know he's fast, and we know he can get stuff done. Obviously started 6th, ran really well in the duel, but interested to see him go back and forth all night tonight and find himself right here in the top 3, trying to contend with Cole Freilich on that bottom lane. But who else back here has something for these guys? Will we see, Gavin Newton or Gavin Newton or John Daniels, or one of these guys in the top lane, or Steven Gibson, or someone that was leading earlier, be able to go up the middle and kind of make hay with these guys?
If you want a dark horse, I've just been going through the stat sheet here. Keep your eye on the 41 of Mo Perry, sitting back there in the 5th car in the top lane. He has a Speedway's 200 win. He knows how to get it done here. Been having a very quiet evening. I know for a fact this is the first time we've mentioned his name, but he's proven that he can get to victory lane here. How is he gonna? If he makes a charge for it, how is he going to have to dispatch the 4 cars in front of him who've just been making all the noise here tonight? It'll be very interesting to see. But so you've got a top 5 on that top side lane, or the top lane there, that know how to get it done. The four in front have proven that they can do it tonight, and the 41 is proven with the repertoire in prior events. So definitely an interesting line of 5 there to keep an eye on, all 5 of them.
Yeah, that's actually something I was looking at as well. Ryan Vargas, Kendall Carpenter, Harry Grandel, and others, they don't even have wins on super speedways in general, let alone Daytona or the Premier Series. So, we got a lot of guys eager up here to get this done. Cole Freilich has 2 super speedway wins in the Premier Series, so he knows how to get this stuff done, and that's why he's leading that top lane. But he's got a lot of guys around him that would love to dethrone that and put themselves in victory lane tonight.
Absolutely. You coming down there off of 2, you saw the 15 of Cole Freilich wash way out there, and just having the peace of mind that back there behind him that Ryan Vargas isn't going to make a move on him, because they've been leaving such like the outside lane. Obviously, we've seen 3 wide work here. Elliot, what lane, eventually when these runs do come, what lane do you protect? We've seen Kendall Carpenter make the middle work. We've seen the 15 and the 26 make the top side work. Is there one to protect, or do you just got a mirror drive at this point?
I think you have to pray that the guy behind you actually wants to go with you. I think, we don't know who's friends and who's foes in this series right now. We don't know who's on what team and who's in each other's ear, but you got to wonder when you get down to 3-4 laps to go, does Ryan Vargas still sit here and try to get Cole Freilich to win? Does he go 3 wide? Does the 21 jump out? Does the 70 jump out? Does Henrik Aloof jump out? Who goes where they want to go? And we don't know yet. We didn't really see a lot of that in either of the duels. They were both pretty content to just kind of get to the end. I think Ashton Lawson was one that kind of pulled a move, and they kind of all caught in the wall there at the end of ours. But the duels were pretty tame in that aspect. So these guys might just be content to get through it. But this is Daytona. This is the first race of the season. This is season 8. You want to start off your season strong, and you want to be in victory lane as opposed to second or third. It just depends who's actually friends out here and who's trying to get to victory lane.
Let's throw it down to our pit road reporter, Ross Brockman. Ross, what's the chatter been like? It seems like things have calmed down here, but you got to imagine that a storm's brewing.
Yeah, I'm wondering a little bit on fuel. I think that there might be. It looks like the pace has maybe slowed down a little bit. Like maybe some of these guys in the back half are just saving a little extra. We do have green-white checkers here, so it's with how important track position is. Even if we get close on fuel and you think you can make it, you may want to save some extra just in case you have to run some extra laps with the green-white checkers. So otherwise, yeah, it's kind of calm before the storm. Very quiet on the radio. Haven't heard too much out of anybody. Yeah, it's been awesome to see this pack run around this track and get us to the end. 12 to go.
Absolutely, we've had great racing, and they've managed to keep it all clean here as we look back at Cole Freilich, who's got a rear-view mirror full of Ryan Vargas. Those two have been absolutely for lack of a better term, the power couple of the night. It seems like one of those two cars is on the other's bumper at any given point. So definitely the top two to watch here, and they're in the position to do it as Kendall Carpenter once again gets a nose back out in front. The pushes are starting to come a little more aggressively from Harry Grandel there, sitting in the second spot.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think pace is really slowing down at all. I haven't been paying attention to lap times, but speed-wise, these guys are now in the 200 bracket, and I don't think we're really seeing that tonight. Kendall Carpenter eking out 200 miles an hour right before ducking off into turn 3, and we've got 23 guys very much on top of each other, whereas it was a little bit spread out about halfway through this run. So 10 laps to go this time by, and 23 drivers all within a second and a half each other.
Yeah, you can really throw a blanket under the entire field here, such is the nature of these super speedway races. Anybody's got a shot to win it. It's just a matter of who's going to be in the position to be there if should an opportunity arise to capitalize. And as the 26 and the 15 get linked right back up here, and they will go right around the 20 of Kendall Carpenter, still holding serve on that top side. It's definitely been the lane to watch here as we get a stack up on the inside there, the 20, the 70, and then the 63 and it still continues to trickle back all the way to the 51 of Tristan Baker and Nick Roten back there. So it's amazing how, like, it's watching super speedway racing, it's almost like fluid dynamics. Whatever happens at the front it's not if, it's when does its effect make it to the back of the pack.
Well, I think the other interesting thing is if you watch this in turns 1 and 2, that outside lane just absolutely flies. And then if they can get hooked up on the backstretch into 3 and 4 and off of 4, that inside lane just resurges back, as it looks like the 48 caught the wall there Gavin Newton going to go backwards. He was fourth in the outside lane, going to surrender all of that, and still up in the outside wall into turns 3 and 4. As we watch the inside lane once again resurge because of that bit of an issue that kind of left the outside lane trying to recompose themselves. But the 70 tucked right back up to the 20. The 15 is going to lead this lap, closing in on 5 to go.
Boy, howdy, we had a big moment there coming off of 3 when the 48 went back. He got involved with some back markers there, or well, I wouldn't say back markers, but the 51. It was the 51 of Tristan Baker who had to catch that race car. We were reading the door numbers of that one as Ashton Lawson now starts to drop back, does not want any part of this. He sees the action up ahead and doesn't. I can't really blame them. These guys have been. It's just once you think that it's calmed down, there goes the 48 to the back of the pack, and the action's just gonna appear.
Well, Lawson caught the wall off turn 4, but the 20 clears, and then he gets bumped by the 70. They all save it. They don't stack up, but they're going to stack up right here. Does anyone go anywhere? No, they're all going to play safe and easy. Wow, that was going to be really dangerous, but back to what I was trying to say is Kendall's still trying to save that thing. You can see tires are basically gone. That bottom lane has absolutely fallen apart, and it looks like they've killed their tires at the same time, but Lawson got really tight in the middle of the corner, ended up catching the wall. That's why he went backwards, and that just kind of seems to be what's happening, especially as these tires get older. These guys are starting to slide up and catch that wall. As now you see the inside starting to resurge back, but really scary moment there between Kendall Carpenter and Harry Grindell through the middle of the tri-oval, exactly where you don't want it to really happen.
Definitely, that could have, if that had gone wrong, that would have been the entire field, I believe. Save the top three there in the top lane. So a great piece of driving by Kendall Carpenter in that 20 car to keep it straight, and is already back out front challenging for the lead here with help from Harry Grindell.
Yeah, I've got to say, those two on the bottom, if they own the top lane, I don't know that anyone can really touch them. I'd be interested to see what happened if these top 4 just switch spots and, you know, the 26 and the 15 of Vargas and Freilich went to the bottom, and then we got to see Carpenter and Grindell up top. But right now, this is just incredible to watch them come back and forth, and Carpenter's going to pull that bottom lane ahead. They're not even really composed that well down there. There's a lot of space between guys like Kaloof, and I believe that's Mo Perry, or is that's the 48 of Newton on the bottom still. They're not even really together, and Carpenter is just pulling that one ahead clear at the line over Cole Freilich. 5 to go.
5 laps to go, Elliot, in this one. Kendall Carpenter continues to show all the power that car's got, and it's been amazing to watch the show here tonight. This league has put on an amazing show. We love having them on here on the Split Second Broadcasting Network here. 5 laps to go, like we said. At this point, it's when does the move happen, and who does it come from?
Well, I got to imagine it's going to come from the outside. If anything, the 70 is going to have to try to clear Cole Freilich if he wants to run at this. But Grindell, as he catches the apron, that's not good. That's going to send him backwards. Now here comes the show because they're getting up to lap traffic as well. That's going to pull guys forward. Here comes Caden Reif in the middle. Is he going to make a move? No, he's going to stay where he is, but that puts Henry Kaloof in a really good spot. He's won these races before. He might be able to do it again, and now he is the one pushing Kendall Carpenter. Remember, he was a really good pusher early on, pushing Ashton Lawson. As it looks like all the lap cars are going to stay down in the apron, out of the way, let these guys race this out nice and easy. We've still got one more lapper to go. Hopefully they get out of the way as well, as Kendall Carpenter and Henry Kaloof try to bring this inside line back together, coming to 3 to go this time by.
Definitely. The rebound from Kendall, not quite as strong. Didn't happen as aggressively, but once again, Carpenter leading that inside lane right back up to try and challenge these top 2 here as we are at 3 to go this time. Who's going to make the move, and will they be able to make it stick at this point? It seems like the tires have been such a problem that people have been having a hard time holding on to these cars.
I think tires are gone. Steven Gibson nearly lost in the middle of 1 and 2 that time. Somehow corralled it and kept it going. There's still 3 wide back there with John Daniels, Ashton Lawson, and some others. I believe it was Nolan Sanford on the bottom lane. They're all still stacking up on top of each other back there. A lot of action, but Kendall Carpenter back to the point. 2 to go. They're wrecking.
Caution is out, and we are definitely going to go to overtime here. Immediately turn those cars off. Save as much fuel as you can. We were already questioning it. And now, boy, howdy, are we in for an absolute riot here that unfortunately had to involve the 20 of Marty Farrell and the 1 of Tyler Lane and getting caught up in this, and we'll get you a replay here. But it's just like we said, the tires were gone, and so was the handling.
And unfortunately, Balderas just went a lap down. He was actually involved in that. I saw him slam into the 1 of Tyler Lane, and so I believe both of their races are basically going to be done and dusted. It looks like that caution is going to be surrounded by the 11 of Tyler Seville. And you can see it right there. There's Ashton Lawson coming down the track. And I don't know. That's really on the 11. It looks like it's just kind of the 24 and the 1. The 1, maybe the 11 caught the apron and stacked them up. But the 1 ran over the 24. Nowhere really to go. And then you can see Balderas nowhere to go. Runs into the 1 really hard. I'm sure Balderas went down and caught the inside wall. Very frustrating. But it's looking like they're saying the 11 actually caught the apron initially. I may have missed that when we were showing the replay. But that's what stacked all of that up. And here it is, Balderas' TV cam. As you can see, Tyler's, if he would have held the brake, maybe Balderas could have avoided that. But unfortunately, big damage and right into the inside wall hard for the 95 of Alex Balderas.
Well, speaking of avoiding the 24 there, you saw it on the upper left-hand corner of that replay. The 24 of Marty Farrell, credit to him for getting that car slammed down into reverse and avoiding an oncoming car there who was having a hard time getting it slowed down. And you can see there, boy, the 02 was loose as we look back at the replay, and there's the wiggle there from the 11, and it just causes that stack up there. The 24's got nowhere to go because Ashton Lawson's pinching down, but Tyler Lanning gets in the back in there, and it's just on from there. And look at this. Oh, the 24. I believe that was the 38 of Adam Sweet, your outside pole sitter there, narrowly avoiding it. A great piece of driving from the 24 there to not involve anybody else anymore.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, nobody pit here, but Gavin Newton certainly thought about it. He went through the grass to try to stay back on the track. He definitely wanted to pit. I think he's about as uncomfortable as everybody else is, but he wasn't the leader during all of this. You got to wonder how Cole Freilich and Kendall Carpenter are feeling about their chances right now, having been the leaders and will continue to be the leaders when we go back green. The question is Kendall going to be able to line up with, well, he's going to have a choice. He's going to have Henry Kaloof, who he was working with pretty much that whole run, or, well, towards the end of that run after they shuffled out. I believe it was the 70 of Harry Grindell. And then Ryan Vargas will line up likely behind one of either Kendall Carpenter or Cole Freilich from that 4th position. So we'll have to see. Is Kendall going to give Cole Freilich his dancing partner that he's had all night, or is he going to be able to take away Ryan Vargas and try to stick Freilich with Kaloof on the inside?
I think with how, because these cars don't get very tightly packed together in the pack when racing. So I think even if you try, if you're Kendall Carpenter, you try and split up that duo of Freilich and Vargas, I feel like they just find each other. It like there's magnets in the car or something. They've been impossible to separate, but I think you're right. You got to at least try and separate them. Those have been the two powerhouse cars all evening. But I also want to talk about Tyler Seville, who we've established was the root cause of that caution, but he pit for tires. He'll be restarting in around about the 16th position here as they come across the line in timing and scoring updates. So he will be the first one with fresh tires. We talked about how dead these tires are practically, Elliot. With an overtime finish like this, it's effectively 2 laps. Does he have, obviously he's got the tire. Does he have the time to get up there and
I think he's got the
try
time.
and cause some noise?
I think it comes down to if he doesn't get involved in something, because you just got to think that something's going to happen in this top 10 and it's just going to go haywire. That would be my fear from that position. I think, if this runs green, he can go from 16th to easily in the top 5, if not better, by the end of this. But it's just going to depend on how aggressive he wants to be. We haven't seen guys like that. Tyler Seville, Griffin Jones, Marty Farnell. Farrell, Hunter Waters, Adam Sweet, those guys back in about 15th to 20th, we haven't seen them come up here and be aggressive. Do we know that they're comfortable coming up here trying to run 3 wide and anything like that? But for now, I think you just got to go where they're not and hope that you can make it work. But we've seen so many guys try to go to the third lane and just immediately get knocked on the outside wall, and knowing that all these guys are on old tires, just because you're on freshies doesn't really mean that you're going to have the room to be able to maneuver to get around these guys.
As the field doubles up, let's throw it to Ross Brockman really quickly before we get going again. Ross, what's the chatter, and how is everybody feeling?
Been pretty quiet, but yeah, we'll see if some of these guys that were kind of riding in the back that came and got tires here, they're all bunched together, and a couple of them are even in the same chats on the Discord. So they might be working together to maybe see if they can get up there and break up this group. It's gonna be fun to see what happens here as they try to make it here with hopefully 1 green white checker, maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, thanks for that report, Ross. Holy crap. Kendall Carpenter trying to make a statement. He did not split up Freilich and Vargas there, but took what looked like a door swipe there at the 15 as they were coming out of turn 4 here. As we get back under green for the first of potentially 3 overtimes. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But Kendall Carpenter is out front. Freilich is back behind him, but he goes back to the top side. It's going to be these two duos once again as they fire back down the back straightaway.
Yeah, not sure what that little door issue was, but we've got them all stacked up 3 by 3 or 2 by 2 all the way through, but about 5 cars on either lane. And you've got your dancing partners and the guys that they've been comfortable with. The 70 is going to make it 3 wide. That's going to kill the momentum on the bottom with the 48. And right now, Kendall's going to have to pretty much do this on his own, and he kind of is. He's pulling up next to Cole Freilich, but Brian Vargas tucked right there. But here comes Henry Kaloof tucked right up behind the 20 of Kendall Carpenter. It's going to be a drag race. White flag this time.
The bell lap for the man who started out front leads it, the 15 of Cole Freilich. Side by side there, give Cole Freilich the edge at the line, but back down. Ooh, and he gets loose there. The push from Vargas there, showing a little weakness there. Give Kendall Carpenter the advantage here. Does he go up to block Freilich? He does. Throws a massive block. Freilich down to the middle. And they're all going to wreck here as that's the 62 of Kaloff gets involved. Just absolute massive carnage here. Got to follow the 15. He's got sole possession of this lead here up at the front. Does anybody have anything for the 15?
The 20 gets a big run. He goes to the bottom. He's got the space. Vargas stays with Freilich, goes to the top. They're door to door. Here comes Kendall Carpenter. He's going to get the win at Daytona. As Ryan Vargas, another spin across the line. It'll be Kendall Carpenter. Gavin Newton edges out Cole Freilich, Ryan Vargas, and Ethan Stuckwish rounds out your top 5.
What an absolute drag race to the finish there. Kendall Carpenter timed the run perfectly on Cole Freilich there. Didn't know where the run was coming from. You can only block so much of the track, and Kendall Carpenter played it to perfection here, and he will clinch the first checkered flag of the 8th season of the Premier Series here in OSRL.
You got to give Cole Freilich some credit on the fact that he didn't just immediately block Kendall's run. I mean, he could have been really aggressive with it, but he made his aggressive move down the backstretch, and he stayed in it after that. And you gotta give him credit for not making it any worse than what it was, because that move down the backstretch could have taken all of them out. Somehow it didn't, and they were still able to race for the win at least. But really unfortunate for him to come up 3rd. But how about Gavin Newton hanging in there all night? Comes home 2nd, and you talked about it. You said that I don't know that you had Kendall Carpenter in your numbers, but you said 2nd, 3rd, and 4th there. Newton, Freilich, and Vargas would be ones to watch, and they all ended up inside the top 5.
Definitely. The cream will absolutely rise to the top, but Kendall Carpenter had something to say about it. Must have heard me and took it personally. Absolutely just went up there and took the checkered flag away from those guys who've been up there all night. And you might as well just throw his hat out there. We talked about him. It felt like for the entire back half of that race as he burns it down here on the front straightaway at Daytona. An awesome run for him, and that whole top 5. The only thing that could have made it crazier was if that wreck hadn't happened on the backstretch.
Yeah, but I think that's just par for the course with these guys. They wanted to make it exciting, and they did from pretty much every lap all the way through. So gave us a great finish, and you just got to feel for guys like Harry Grindell, who ran, top 5 at the end there, ended up 20th. Henry Kaloof ends up 21st. We'll go through the end of the field here in a bit, but just looking down through the board, seeing those guys not finish anywhere where they were running, definitely unfortunate for those guys at the end here.
Absolutely. Let's get started with our interviews here, starting with our third place finisher, Cole Freilich. Cole, did you have anything for Kendall Carpenter there right at the end? Take us through that last lap where you saw everybody scatter and you had control. What happened there? Was there anything else you could have done?
I screwed over me and Ryan. That's what happened. God, me and Vargas were working so good together, dude, and I screwed us both over. But yeah, I mean, I screwed up. I zigged when I should have zagged. I should have just went to the wall with it. I knew I could have won it up there. I got loose in turn 1, and that really screwed me. But oh well, start the season off third. It's not bad. I mean, I can win the title from that spot. Third in points. I've finished third, second, so it's not a bad start to the year. I just wish I wouldn't have screwed myself over like that.
Well, you're going to have that, but playing the long game, I appreciate it. The points absolutely matter for every single one of these races here. Yeah, I did note we were talking about it, how you and Vargas just, it seemed like, had that top side on lock, and then it looked like he might have gotten a little aggressive with a push up in 2. What happened there from your vantage point? And then obviously, I mean, down the back just exploded.
I mean, I don't even think it was really the push, because Ryan was pushing me good all night. There's a bump going into turn 1. If you hit it wrong on the outside on old tires, it just gets the car loose. And I mean, it killed my momentum there. And then I was just kind of like scrapping for what I could get. And I just kind of screwed up there. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I had a good speed weeks. I've won, hell, I don't even know how many things I've won during speed weeks. I think I won 3 out of the 5 events we had. So, like, it's not too bad. I just wish I could have won another Speedway 200. But, I mean, there's going to be plenty of races this season for me to win. And there's going to be plenty of competition. So, yeah, I mean, it's a long season. So.
Amen to that. It's a long season. And it looks like it's going to be a competitive one here. But based on the speed that you've shown, you're definitely one to watch for sure. We were talking about you all night long. Solid speed here tonight, bringing home a third place finish. Before we let you go, do you have anybody to thank here for your awesome run tonight?
Yeah, thanks, Kart Chaser. Thanks to Apex Action Photography. Definitely thank my girlfriend. She doesn't get too fed up with me running these races, so appreciate her. Just appreciate Oates putting on the league. You guys coming in as broadcasters, I'm happy to see the quality of your broadcasts. They're very good, and I look forward to watching this one back after it's done. And yeah, just thanks to Oates, Jack, all the guys that run the league, and thank you to the people that sponsored the league as well.
Well, thanks for talking to us, man. Congratulations once again on your position and a great run here. We look forward to seeing you race all season long here in this one.
Yeah, I look forward to talking to you guys more this season.
All right, Cole. We'll see you around. That was Cole Freilich with our third place finisher. We're now going to bring in Ryan Vargas here in the 4th spot. Elliot, take it away.
Ryan, how do you feel after finishing 4th tonight? Obviously, a really strong run for you guys, but probably a few things that you feel like you left out on the table there in the last lap or so with Cole and everything happening at the end.
Yeah, no, that last lap, I definitely got screwed coming to the line there. Just had a massive run and tried to go to the top. The hole closed. I can't really blame Cole for that. It's just Speedway racing at the end, right? So, I mean, it's nothing he did wrong. Just folded there at the end on my part. I definitely had that once I got out of 4 there. I feel like I definitely was the car to beat once I had that run, but it's part of it. Felt really good to get Lurgus security at the front in this race. It was a pleasure making my OSRL debut with all these folks here. It was a great race. Honestly, we all had such a great time. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, talk us through that little bit of an incident with, I believe it was Tyler Lane, and when you guys were running up towards the front, and you were trying to get around that lap car, and all of you just kind of accordion together. Was there anything you felt like kind of egregiously happened, or just take us through that moment?
I mean, he just washed up in the center of the corner, and I don't think he anticipated how bad the tires were at that point, and so we had to check up, and it just caused a absolute stack up effect. So I mean, it's just, was it his fault? Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's just speedway racing in those situations where the tire wear comes into effect. There's nothing. When you're the second, third, fourth car in line, the stack up is twice as worse as it is for the leader, right? So, just an unfortunate deal there. But at the end of the day, I mean, after that, I got right back to the front. I think after the restart, I went from like, what was it, 8th or 9th to 2nd within a lap. So it didn't hurt me. Just kind of was a little bit of a take it and move on.
Well, you were exciting to watch all night tonight. Exciting to watch even during the speed weeks and the duels that we had. So looking forward to talking to you more throughout this season and seeing how well you can run. Do you have anyone that you want to thank for tonight?
Obviously, just want to thank my friends at Lyrgus Security. They're on this race car here tonight. I always jokingly say I'm here for the win or TV time, and man, we had a lot of TV time tonight, so we accomplished that goal. So it's always a pleasure to represent them both in real life and on the sim. And thank you guys for putting this on. Thanking all the folks at OSRL for putting this series on. It's fun to jump into some leagues and do one-off races like this, and it's always a blast.
Well, hopefully we'll see you around a lot more this season. Looking forward to it, Ryan.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
All right, and next up we've got Gavin Newton, third place finisher tonight. Gavin, you were up there all night. Do you think you would have had something for the end there with everything that happened, or do you think it just kind of fell how it was going to fall regardless?
Well, I mean, that's second's my highest finish in the series, so I'm extremely happy with that. It just things kind of fell how they needed to right there at the very end. I kind of put myself in a tough situation. Car started getting tight on about 10 to go, and I hit the wall once and kind of dropped back, I think, into like 12th, and kind of bounded myself back there and worked my way back up, and then that yellow came out, obviously. But everything kind of fell where it needed to there. It just, 15 car was blocking all the lanes, which that's how these races go, and it ended up working out for him in that case, and we just couldn't get to the lane that we needed to make the move on him. So just super happy with the finish, super happy with the total run. I just I gotta thank everybody on the car, B-Blaze Vintage, Runnings Racing Designs, Fast Track Racing, Van Dorn Racing Development, HC5, all the guys that just helped this car get on track.
Yeah, I'll correct myself really quick. I said third. You actually finished second, but yeah, proud of you. Really, really happy to see you run that well. And I just want to ask if there was anything going on with the tires and how the car kind of ran through the middle of the run. We haven't asked anybody about that, and we started seeing guys slip and slide a little bit. Was that something you guys were really having to manage a lot tonight?
Yeah, it was. It was a really tough balance, to be honest with you. Obviously you want to be pushing. I don't really know if either lane was truly wearing more than the other. Like we ran the top quite a bit there towards the end, and I was thinking that was going to help save us some tire a little bit there. And to be honest, I don't really think it did. I think it just really put us in a tough situation. Because then I ended up pushing up into the wall. But I ran the bottom a little bit once my tires were cooled down under that yellow, and I mean it seemed all right. But go back to your question, yes, I mean the tires really did. We took 2 on that final pit stop that we came in, and you would have thought that would have kept the car loose and balanced through the working loose initially and then balance out, but I don't know if we were just so loose early in the run that it just tightened the car up with the wear or what happened there, but it started getting tight.
Well, Gavin, you handled it superbly. We talked about you pretty much all night. Really, really strong run, and I didn't honestly see how well you had to avoid that last accident to clear a few guys and go from basically. I mean, it was pretty much 10th when you crossed the line, coming to the white flag, and ended up second. But I know you thanked some guys. Just want to make sure that you get everybody thanked here. Was there anyone else that you missed out on that you want to thank for tonight's run?
I'll thank the people I had in my chat. My spotter John Cholcheski, he was spotting me through the night. Always a huge help to have him. Brayton Laster was kind of my race strategist, telling me where everybody was and what everybody's strategy was looking like. And I'll say them again, all the partners on the car: B-Blaze Vintage, Running Racing Design, Van Dorn Racing Development, HD5, Fast Track Racing. Everybody that helps get the car on track every week.
Awesome to hear. Well, big congrats on the second place finish. We'll let you go enjoy it and pull in our winner. But good run tonight, Gavin.
Appreciate it.
And last but certainly not least on the track, Kendall Carpenter, your winner in tonight's Speedway 200. Kendall, what are the thoughts? Take us through that final lap there. You were side by side with Cole Freilich, and then you come out of 2, and it's all you. What happens from there?
Oh man, I don't even know. I was running the bottom. I really wasn't comfortable on the bottom. But I knew Cole and Ryan were working together, so I just had to stick with it. And coming out, I guess he got loose in 1, and they were side by side for second. So I was like, I have to block the top to try to kill the momentum. And Clammy sued, and it was just 1-on-1 with Cole. I don't know if it's the tires. He had been running the bottom. He just got tight, and I was just able to get underneath him and beat him to the checkered flag.
Yeah, definitely. That's another thing I want to talk about. It was an awesome run, by the way, to watch just all the action unfold on that last lap. But talk about the tires, dealing with the power of these cars, this bumpy surface at Daytona. We could definitely see it up in the booth. The sway of the pack would just get more and more egregious. How was that to manage throughout these runs that you had?
Well, it's definitely wearing the right front up a lot. I was just praying, trying to make sure during that green flag run, trying to keep the car, make sure it's stuck to the bottom, because I was scared of pushing up into them. The tires were just wearing really rapidly, and it was getting loose, and it was getting tight. And so you just had to manage and just try to hold on to it. But it was really, really fun. I love old Daytona. It's definitely a challenge, especially in these cars.
Absolutely. Definitely a fun one to race and to watch. You said you weren't really comfortable on the bottom, but man, I'm telling you, you look like the most comfortable car out there on the bottom, making so much work where the 15 Freilich and Vargas were dominating that top side. You were taking the fight right to them on the bottom there. And then even a lot for a big part of it, shooting the gap 3 wide all by yourself. Yeah. It looked like you were Superman. How did you know, and how did you handle where to go and how to position yourself for this win?
Well, really, it was a comedy of errors for me in the beginning of the race. I'm new to league racing, so I wasn't really used to a lot of things. I almost wrecked early in the race, like you guys saw, getting loose in turn 1 before that wreck, that first caution, and then the penalty, which was just a brain fart on my part. I just not thinking of the rules, but just keep on managing. When that 3 wide move, they checked up in about mid pack. I just hit the gap and nobody blocked it. I just kept going and going and going until I got to like 5th. So just try to stay aggressive, to try and get track position. Track position is so hard at this racetrack. It's so hard to pass, especially with how bumpy it is and the handling. So you just gotta take what you can get. Totally, yeah.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it was awesome. You're definitely gonna have to go back and watch that broadcast. We were just our jaws were on the floor watching you just fly up through there all by yourself.
But I could put on a show for you guys.
Absolutely, you did. It was awesome to watch you. A great performance here tonight. Congrats on the win once again.
Thank you.
Before we let you go, do you have anybody to thank for your victory tonight?
Nobody in particular, but I just want to thank the OSRL and everyone putting on this league. This is my first attempt at this. I joined on a whim, and I'm just looking to have a good season, maybe win a championship.
Well, Kendall, you're definitely on your way with this victory in the first race of the season here. An awesome performance from you tonight. It was awesome to watch you all night long. Thank you so much for talking to us. Go enjoy your win, buddy.
Thank you. You guys have a good one.
And that'll just about wrap up our interview. We'll take a look at the full results here, get you a full field rundown at the end of this one. Kendall Carpenter, your winner, we just spoke to him, brings home the bacon here in Daytona. Gavin Newton finishes 2nd, Cole Freilich 3rd, Ryan Vargas 4th. All 4 of those guys putting on an absolute show, a barn burner here in Daytona for us tonight. Ethan Stuckwish had his fair share of troubles tonight. Brings it home with a top 5 finish. Nick Roten as well Up and Down Night managed to bring it home in the 6th place spot. Steven Gibson, we talked about him making some noise, held on for a 7th place finish after starting in the 8th spot. John Daniels as well, starting 9th, finished 8th. Caden Rife bringing it home 9th. And Tyler Seville rounds up your top 10.
Jeff Yinich finishes 11th. Nolan Sanford finishes 12th. Talk about him a little bit. Griffin Jones 13th. Tristan Baker finishes 14th. Adam Sweet, the guy that started outside front row, finds his way back in 15th. Jack Painter in 16th. Tyler Langdon, another one that we talked about pretty often, ending up in the wall at some point and involved in probably one, maybe two incidents at another point. Ends up 17th on the night. Marty Farrell ends up 18th. Chris Pervalarkis ends up 19th after his pretty strong run at the beginning of this race. And then you get back towards 20th. Harry Grindell, one that was running top 10 right before that white flag, and unfortunately it all went awry.
Finishing in the 21st position is Henry Kalhoff. Had himself an up and down night, was up there with early on with the likes of Ashton Lawson, but unfortunately slipped back there at the end to finish in 21st. Mo Perry, we talked about him with his previous Super Speedway experience, got caught up in that wreck there at the end, finished 22nd. Hunter Waters, 23rd. Ashton Lawson, we talked about him making some noise tonight from the 4th starting position. Unfortunately, just got caught up in all that drama there at the end. 24th finish for him. Alexander Balderas, the most roller coaster of roller coaster nights. Started in the back, went up to the front, then went to the back again, back up to the front, and then unfortunately just got caught out there on that last restart, or rather the last green flag restart before overtime, and brings it home in the 25th position. Isaac Johnson follows him up with a 26th place finish. Bryden Lindauer, 27th. Sean Begley, we talked about him getting caught up in that wreck there in the middle part of the race, finishes 28th. Ian Smith, 29th. Nathan Kiani, we saw the damage to his truck, or rather to his car. He brings it home in 30th. And then Ruby Estes, unfortunate night, brings it home in the 31st spot. Looking ahead at the schedule, we have wrapped up all of Speed Weeks here in Daytona, and now the OSRL Premier Series moves on to Legacy, Texas. Guys, what are our thoughts about that old surface there? It's not, you still got the old banking there where you can just absolutely fly. That's going to be a fast one to watch.
I'm really excited for not just Texas, but what's coming up on this schedule. It's some interesting tracks. Texas will provide a lot of excitement. We've seen it in the past with the truck and the Xfinity car. I'm really excited to see it in the Gen 4. We haven't seen a Gen 4 race here in a while, so it should provide some pretty good racing. But even after that, looking forward to Kern Raceway, a nice little short track, and after that, Sebring. We've seen Sebring in the Gen 4 and the ARCA car, and it's a blast, and I'm excited to see what it looks like with the Gen 4 moving forward with this league. And we get to probably see some names that we're not really used to with it being a road course. So. But I think, coming up, we've got a really exciting schedule, at least for the next 3-4 races before the break, and it's only going to get better from there.
You were alluding to it there, Elliot. That's a mix of wild racetracks, which is pretty awesome to have something different every single week. Really cool schedule, and I was thinking, okay, what track can you go to and see drivers perform well, and then maybe move it to the next track that's similar to it. And I guess you almost got to say Sebring to maybe Montreal. I don't know. All of them are so very different. So looking forward to see how this season goes and see which drivers take advantage of certain racetracks and certain disciplines.
Definitely a very interesting schedule. I'm very intrigued by this. Can't wait to see all the action and call it here on Split Second Broadcasting on your Thursday night, give you all your entertainment here. But to bring it back to the here and now, let's wrap up our final thoughts here. We'll start with you, Ross, from down there in the pit lane. What did you take away from tonight's event, and what are you looking forward to going forward?
Yeah, I thought it was super fun. I kind of wish we would have had a green flag pit stop in there just to see, because we talked about it before the start of the race. That's tough to do here, but either way, we had plenty of action on some strategy. Some of those guys that stayed out, it was cool to see that strategy worked out when the next caution came out, and they were able to just basically pit with everybody else and get that track position. I think Harry Grindell was one of those guys that did that. Yeah, it was really cool. Also, we saw it in the duels last week to tonight. This racing was really great and non-stop action. As much as we thought there was a chance of like riding around, they really didn't do that. So for 80 laps, we had a lot of action. It was a ton of fun. It was awesome, and I was glad to be here.
Yeah, I think the riding around we really saw was between lap 60 and 70, and that was kind of it. And then it took right back off. And even looking forward, Ryan Vargas said this was maybe a one-off event. I hope he comes back. He was really entertaining to watch. We mentioned Cole Freilich, and he mentioned his championship run, hopefully for the season. So we get to experience that. And there's a lot of guys that finished up here that I don't think we really talked about, like Nick Roten and Ethan Stuckwich. Some guys that we didn't really expect to finish up inside the top 5, top 10. That may be able to propel that into a really good finish. And you got to give credit to Gavin Newton. I think he said it's his second best finish, or one of his best finishes. So I'm interested to see how a lot of these guys fare. Obviously, it's a new league for us broadcasting. We don't really know who's who yet, and I'm interested to see a bit of this rivalry, honestly, between Cole and Tyler Lanen, because that happened tonight. And then we need to see how Kendall Carpenter takes this win and moves forward with it. We'll have to see how well these guys can all run at Texas and Kern. And I think that the schedule just provides a lot of that background of, we're going to see a lot of different disciplines very quickly, and we're going to see who's going to be the championship competitors before this first break, about halfway through the season.
Absolutely. I think your cream has risen to the top here tonight between the top 3 that we interviewed. If Vargas ends up sticking around, he'll definitely be a factor for sure. But everybody here putting on a great show here tonight in Daytona. I love watching these Gen 4 cars race. Just the high power, everybody having to manage that. You can't go all out. There is some managing that has to happen, or you're going to see what we saw towards the end of this race, where everybody's just practically sliding from the bottom lane to the top lane. You have to. There is a lot of racecraft that's involved in these cars, and I can't wait to see what it looks like going forward, how these guys manage, especially at Texas. Like I said, that's going to be an absolute. You thought those cars were going fast here. I mean, old Texas is fast, and that's going to be a great one to watch. That whole schedule, the guys here at OSRL definitely put a great one on here, and we will call all the action here on the Split Second Broadcasting Network on your Thursday night prime time. So that'll just about wrap it up for all of us here on the Split Second Broadcasting Network. I have been Hunter Brittle alongside Elliot Henderson and Ross Brockman with Jeff Johnson in the booth. Signing off from Daytona. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.
A dream. Where nothing was blocking me. I was the problem, the only one stopping me. I didn't like it, I had to refocus. Now I'm devoted, I know where I'm going. Controlling emotions, I'm owning the moment. In order to get it, see, you gotta want it. If you make a living break, confessions over these 808s. Don't sleep on the key, better stay away. I mean, for heaven's sake, I'ma be the best. Came from the endless lane walk games, bitch with the chest. Beating on my chest, trying to get my rest. Watch me while I flex. Every win is a blessing, and every L is a lesson. So when I run into rejection, I know it's only redirection. I see the blessings right beside me. The chances of quitting are likely. I do it like I'm in my Nikes. Don't make excuses, they never excite me. Quitting was never an option.